All smiles, yeah.
Got to focus, got to ready. Silly old giggles. I didn't see the silly old giggles.
All giggles, yeah. I think I can't vote.
Yeah, same here. I was trying to vote, but I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Chat. Let me see this chat. Yeah, sure, Francis. That's not the problem. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Today, we are going to host John Hinchliffe. You know, he's a very good instructional designer that I have been following, I think, more than a year. Thank you so much for joining us today, John. And I think I can close this poll. Yeah. Hey, John, how do you feel today?
I feel all right. Like I said, I'm quite hot. Like I'm over here in the UK. It is very hot, very humid, and our houses aren't designed for hot weather, so it keeps in all the heat. So if I start sweating, that's why. It's not tough questions. It might be tough questions, but yeah, it's pretty much the absolute sheer heat of it. It's like living in a sauna.
Really, I just can't believe that. Like, it is UK, right?
It is. Oh gosh, yeah. It feels like I'm somewhere else. It feels like I'm in Spain or something. But my word, it's a fair bit toasty.
So anyone, today we are going to ask everyone, today we are going to ask our questions to John Hinchliffe. So if you want, we can start. And if you have any question, you can ask him.
Can I actually start with a question?
Yeah.
Can whoever's got chat in front of them, can you let me know where you're actually signing in from? Just always curious where people are in the world. Like because that's the beautiful thing about the time that we live in is, you know, we are global and we're local, so we get glocal. So it's kind of cool. Italy representing, Southern Italy, Milan, Turkey, Istanbul, UK,
Glasgow.
Thanks, love, for downloading the course. Glasgow, I'm currently melting. Oh, yeah. UAE. Whereabouts in the UAE? I used to live in Al Ain and also Dubai. In fact, I was over in Dubai last month. From Brazil, but currently US, Canada. Oh, we got a real international affair going on. What do we have? So also kind of with this session, just to kind of give some context. So I've been in L&D with a focus on digital learning for about, it's about 15 years now. And for me, I've done everything from being a face-to-face trainer through to an instructional designer, leading teams in the UK, out in the UAE, doing academia, B2B, B2C, goodness, doing a bit of marketing here and there. Along the way, I've won some awards. Won Learning Professional Award Silver. This year, I got given the Colin Corder Award, which is it's this massive thing. It's super heavy. It's kind of like the Hall of Fame for learning. Unbeknownst to me, I got it. It's a secret award. In addition to that, been named recently by e-learning industry one of the top 30 thought leaders. The fact of the matter is that's unimportant because it's all about how can we as learning professionals help each other. And this was a massive thing when I was seeing these sessions being shown. You know, it's how do we support each other? So ages ago, back in 2020, back in COVID times, we always remember the COVID times. I was stuck in a one-bedroom apartment in Dubai on my own, couldn't go outside, could go outside for 1 hour every 3 days. And so I reached out and I said, look, who would like to just meet up? You know, who would like to go on this thing called Zoom, which had emerged? And that became this thing called the GLDC, the Global Learning Development Community, which has helped around 3,000 people so far. And it was just an opportunity for people to come together, share ideas, make friends, no selling. That's the thing. Like, I've lost money with that because I put in place a no selling clause at the very beginning. And it really was about just people coming together and making friends. And now you have people in like Toronto, like coming together and having like family meals together. And that's the whole point of it. So for me, I've got a massive thing on how do we share our experiences, what works, what doesn't work. For me, I have a global focus with regard to learning. So I have previously helped organizations like Amazon, massive pharma, massive digital, massive retail, and really understanding what's going on with them. How are they doing things differently? Because those also give kind of a future scope as to the way in which things might change in the industry and what roles are becoming more prominent, what skills are becoming more prominent. And so it's about just making people aware of those kind of things, because there's no point in keeping that information to yourself. So really, that's what I wanted to do with this session, was just kind of give you a real open Q&A. If you've got questions or you've got curiosities, or you just want to chat about whatever's on your mind, then we've got 51 minutes to really do that. So if you want to bob them in the chat, if you want to unmute yourself and chat, I'm here for you.
Hi, John. Hello.
Hello.
So I am a teacher. I just completed my training, my PGCE.
Okay.
But I just suddenly found out that it's not something I want to do. Maybe because I have anxiety, and probably because I'm, don't know, maybe self-conscious. I just feel like I don't want to do the work of being in these children's faces.
Yep.
I want to be the one behind and just churning out the materials. So, and it left me asking, like, what do I need in order to build the skills? Because yes, I do have to teach for 2 more years and do my ECT before I probably go on to doing whatever I should do. So I have these 2 years to build skills and gather portfolios and stuff like that. So where do I start? What should I do?
Amazing question. Firstly, thanks a lot for just being super honest, super transparent. I'll not lie, like, I previously was a teacher. I was an English teacher in Japan, and my word, my anxiety was through the roof, especially with trying to control small children, because they were like little gremlins, the ones that I used to like try and teach. And they used to throw things at me. So I think there's a few ways that we can really tackle this. I think rather than thinking, right, what skills do I need? First question would actually be a question to yourself of, what do you want to do? What brings you joy? What interests you? So when we think about kind of what's going on in the world of learning, obviously there's a massive focus on AI right now. AI is super, pardon my French, it's super sexy. Everybody wants to talk about it. There's an incredible L&D thought leader called Amanda Nolan, and she kind of relates AI, and when people are talking about skills-based organizations, it's kind of like teenage sex. Everybody's talking about it, but nobody's doing it. Okay, so it's really having to think about, what stuff do you enjoy? What stuff do you want to focus on? Big things that are growing at the moment are marketing for learning. So when you look at mass marketing, so MAAS marketing, which is Ashley Sinclair, really organizations are starting to really realize that it's not enough to simply create learning and hope for the best, that it's going to actually work. It's being front of mind with our learners. It's making ourselves known, because for a lot of organizations, learning and development is not at the forefront. In fact, let's say it, every organization, L&D is not at the forefront of everybody's mind. Getting the job done is at the forefront. You know, It's getting it done in time, actually passing, you know, your probation, those kinds of things. So really for us as L&D, it's us understanding how do we provide that offering? How do we make it appealing? How do we make it right? And also, how do we make sure that people are able to access the learning when they need it, how they need it? And it's not just learning in the flow of work, but it's working in the flow of learning. You know, so it's thinking about, you know, what could we actually do? What campaigns can we do? How can we better understand who our learners are? I mean, if we go back to, you know, what stuff interests you at the moment?
You know, because I do have a background in computer science, so I have a bachelor's degree in computer science and I have a master's degree in computer vision. But I thought for a while I ran a boot camp and I loved teaching. I really, really loved it. But then I got into it professionally, and the amount of panic attacks and anxiety attacks I had in 1 year of my PGCE, I just knew that I wasn't going to stay long. So I just love making things, building things, designing things. I found out that it's more exciting for me to put together like task sheets and make all these quizzes and all these things for the kids, and just put it out there and just watch them enjoy interacting with the course and stuff like this. But being in their faces makes me nervous. Maybe, I don't know if it's because I'm very self-conscious, because I have a very diverse background. I don't speak the perfect English or whatever. And I don't know, maybe just too much self-consciousness, I don't know. But I do enjoy building things. I also do enjoy education, but definitely not in their faces. Definitely not.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, really great stuff. I think, you know, things that we can think about. So, you know, when you're actually talking, the stuff that's coming, you know, with the higher levels of kind of happiness in your voice is the creation part. You know, it's that it's having a purpose and creating something that is useful, that is beautiful, that meets the requirements of what you're wanting to do. So is it that you're actually looking at, you know, becoming a creator? You know, and when we think about these things, education can lead into more than just academia. You know, it's what you're actually doing. Things that I think about and things that I see. Maximizing learning management systems and learning experience platforms is such an underutilized and underappreciated service, because this is the thing that happens. Here's called the merry-go-round of LMS. Okay, people have an LMS. It's old, it's clunky, people hate it, management hate it. So they go to a conference, whether it's Learn Technologies, they go to DevLearn, they go to a stand where they shake their hand, they give them a stress ball, maybe they give them a free drink token at the end of the day, and then they sign them up for 3 years. And then in 3 years' time, they have an old system that is clunky that nobody likes because they've never maximized it. And this is the dance that happens, probably say 95% of organizations. So there is now a real requirement for people to understand and be able to optimize systems like Degreed, Cornerstone, Edcast, Docebo. Goodness me, there's companies that do customization of Moodle and make a lot of money. Oh my word, if you don't know it, do a bit of research on how much SharePoint like administrators get. Oh my word, they get so much money. There was a point in my life where I saw how much money they got, and I was flirting with the idea of, do I actually need to change career right now? Because I can buy myself a Ferrari in a year. It's this thing of looking at what different platforms are going on. So if you want to stay in education, look at Blackboard. Talk to Canva. Talk to, you know, the main systems that organizations are using globally, and start to understand, right, from, I don't know, working times for schools. It's been a while since I was in one. Let's say 8 till 4. 8 till 4, you're doing the schoolwork, but you know that from like 5 till 9, you're focusing on how you can really optimize a platform. You're going into like the user manuals, you're playing with those, you're testing on other different systems to see how that might work. And then you're incorporating focus on what you do. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
When did it cut out? Because everybody went really still.
Yeah.
What point did we get up to?
20 seconds, I would say.
Yeah.
We've lost 20 seconds. Okay. Did we talk about Chabo, Moodle, and those kinds of things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of, I'll try and remember the last 20 seconds. Really, I would be saying have a plan of what is it within those platforms. If you want to focus on platforms, creating optimization, which platforms you want to focus on, talk to those platforms. That's the great thing. They want more people who are specialists at their platform because they want to make sure that it's being optimized, because a really optimized platform is going to be more useful for an organization. So there's going to be more likelihood of them actually keeping it and paying for a renewal. So they want to have people that really know their stuff. So I would be looking in that. I would be flirting with that idea if you wanted to, think about creation and also sticking with education. That's a potential one. You know what? Really, the way I think about it, that would be a really great kind of first step.
Thank you so much for answering this question, John. And we have another question from Giuseppe. And
hi.
Hi.
So first of all, thanks for the event and for the call. This is the first one that I attend, and I think it's a very nice concept. It gives a bit of the chance to ask one question to big professional. We don't usually have the access to ask those kind of questions. So I've stalked some of you in this call before, and I saw that most of you are like big professionals. So if you see someone from Italy viewed your profile on LinkedIn, that's me. And so I may feel slightly displaced in the sense that I'm just starting right now. I'm trying to build a career in learning and development. And I wanted to give a super brief introduction of what I've done so far to then ask the question. So I've delivered the soft skill training sessions to NGOs for 7 years. And I helped train 4 generations of trainers in those NGOs up until now. Then I decided I want to do that as a career. And I started going for some more courses. I haven't seen your course yet because I was looking on Coursera rather than Udemy. But now I know, but that's something I can do once the call is over. I got interested for sure. And I got one from Urbana-Champaign about instructional design. And then I started a CIPD level 7 course that lasts 2 years, and I'm almost out of it. I'm almost done with it. And I'm looking to enter the market and start working in learning and development. Now, the question is, as I interrupted my IT bachelor's to pursue a career in learning and development, I'm not as interesting for recruiters when it comes to this, because when they see, oh, it doesn't have a degree, so it must not be prepared for it. It's the first thing they look for to skim some people out, let's say. So what could it be one way to gather some more experience or some more knowledge that can be interesting to big companies, which is what I'm aiming for in terms of L&D, where my best job, the one I'm looking for, it's somewhere where I can create learning environments for groups of people to advance themselves both professionally and as people themselves, as individuals, which is what I've been done for 7 years now. But I need something also to convince company to give me a try for it. So what could it be one way to gather some more experience, maybe?
Cool. Amazing. Right. Let's give you a big helping hand then. So a couple of things that really spring to mind. First one, your personal brand. Okay. This goes for everybody. Your personal brand. It doesn't matter if you are at the beginning of your journey, if you are not looking for a job at the moment, you have to understand that your personal brand is up there with being as important as your CV. Okay. So your personal brand, for me, about how long ago? Probably say 5 years ago. I was jealous of people who were getting, 100 likes on a post, getting really engaged. And I was thinking to myself, well, why is nobody engaging with my LinkedIn stuff? And then I realized I wasn't posting that often. Also, the stuff that I was posting was garbage, absolute garbage. Okay. My wife actually sat me down one evening and said, you need to delete that last post because it doesn't make sense. And it was a great lesson for me. So I started to really look at this and I started to think, right, why are people engaging with them? Well, because they're bringing value and they're being consistent. Okay, I need to bring value and I need to be consistent. So I did a massive focus on LinkedIn and just really understanding, right, who do I need to connect with? Who do I want to connect with? So who do I want to learn from? But also, who is going to help me in what I want to do in the future? Okay, so starting to connect and then starting to bring those people value. Okay, so this isn't through selling, this is just creating. So here's a guide to X. Here's a great article I found, but not just here's a great article I found, but giving context. Here's what I took from this. So like a TLDR, okay, giving that context because you're showing, okay. There was a great line from Denzel Washington. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Okay. That's the whole point of LinkedIn. Okay. My LinkedIn. So 5 years later, over the past year, I've had 750,000 views of my content. On a 90-day basis, I will have 1,400 views of my profile because I'm just bringing value. Because I've established myself as that person that's going to bring you value. But the thing is, when it comes to jobs and stuff like that, people actually come to me and offer jobs because they know that if they've got a job specification, I'm front of mind. So if you specialize yourself as the person who brings value because they're the number one person who talks about AI in learning, okay? And your focus is that, and you provide so much value to people, and you start a podcast, about L&D and AI, okay? You have a YouTube channel whereby you're showing what you're doing. All of a sudden, when it comes to organizations and they have your CV, instead of them saying, oh, he doesn't have a degree, cut him, it's going to be, okay, well, on his CV, he's got a Linktree link, which shows 50 podcasts that he's appeared on. He's become a thought leader on this area. That outweighs a degree. My degree is in business studies. I don't use it. But because people see that I bring tons of value, and along the way, I've been very fortunate. I've won a bunch of awards with it. And also the industry has recognized that I'm helping people. That really provides a lot of weight. So really have a look at your personal brand. Check out. So the other day, we talk about providing value. I have been receiving quite a lot of emails from fake magazines recently. So whereby they say, congratulations, you're the most interesting person in payroll. Okay. We'd love to write a 12-page article on you. It's just going to be £3,000. Hate that. I hate that. So I went on Canvas, created a magazine cover in 10 minutes and did a post on LinkedIn. And you can check it out on LinkedIn. And that's had like 14,000 views in the past few days. Okay. But it's there also to bring people value. So if you're looking at personal branding, it's talking about Michaela Alexis, it's talking about Shay Rowbottom, Amelia, it begins with an S, but her name's there. And it's just you're providing value, but it's also check out those personal branding, see what they do, and really have that focus on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a valuable tool. And the beautiful thing is it's free. Along your L&D journey, you're going to get people come to you and say, look, do you want to be part of X community whereby you can talk to other thought leaders in the industry? It is £5,000 a year, and you can be with, the chief learning officer of Ferrari, Coca-Cola, etc., etc. You can do that anyway because you just go on LinkedIn and type in CLO Ferrari. My God, I think I've actually connected to like the CEO of Rolls-Royce. You know, it's this wonderful thing. So it's have that focus on personal brand. Also have that confidence in, if you know your stuff, that will outweigh things. And it's how do you show that? Obviously there was that, you know, there's a little bit of worry that you stopped a degree and you kind of pushed through to that. Go fully into this, like let it consume you. Be addicted to this. I'm addicted to L&D. I spend so much time. I spend my weekends, my evenings, understanding what's going on in the industry. How do we utilize different platforms? How do we provide that as a message? But also look at what's working on LinkedIn, because the LinkedIn algorithm is a vicious beast. Okay, right now, carousels outperform everything. Okay, easiest way to do a carousel is just a PDF. It's a PDF of multiple pages. Utilize Canva. Sorry, Canvas. Canva? No, Canva.
Canva, yeah.
So many, so similar. Canva, utilize the free version. Figure out what your personal brand colors are going to be. Stick to that so that you've got consistency. Also, within that personal brand, a little bit of a human side. Okay, that works well because that shows that you are not just here's business, here's business, here's business. Show walking your dog if you've got a dog, you know, or I did one previously where I tried to mix protein and coffee, so Profi, and it turned out horribly. I thought it'd act like a creamer. It went horribly wrong, but it's about showing that human side to us. We're all human. That's the great thing that bizarrely COVID did, was it showed us that we could be more human. And so be human, but bring value. So for me, that's really where I would go right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, John. We have another question from Sam. Hi,
I will make myself visible, hopefully.
Drum roll.
Okay,
hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for your time, John. It's a pleasure. So I have a question. My kind of knowledge and expertise is mostly in soft skills, more like mindfulness and this kind of stuff, not technical stuff. So first, how do you feel compatible for teaching something? This is the first thing. Like, how do you feel it's enough? I learned enough and now it's time to teach, to share. This is my first question. And second question, how do you decide on the best delivery method? Should it be a LinkedIn post? Should it be a podcast? Should it be a video? How do you pick the delivery? Do you try and error? Do you just like, this works and this doesn't work, so let me like repurpose it? And if it doesn't work like a post, let me like take a picture or like share something else. So what is your method to decide on the best delivery methods? Thank you so much.
Amazing questions. So if we go with that second question first, so a massive thing is tasting. Okay, so taste, see what works for you and also what works for your audience. Okay, so some of your audiences are going to be way more into having a video of you. Some are going to be way more into documents that they can download. So it's tasting. So try different things and look at your analytics. So that's a really great thing with LinkedIn. It's going to tell you where your views. Also, a massive thing to consider is look at where your audience physically is. So where they are in the world. Because if you have, so my audience is a mixture between London and the East Coast of the US. So I post at 5 p.m. usually UK time, because that's going to be 5 p.m. UK, but also lunchtime US. So I'm thinking, when are people going to be actively on their phones? Okay, so you have to think about, you know, where are your people? What are they doing? And also, how are they accessing things? So if you're going to do video, what is it? I think it's like 82% of people don't listen to the audio of a LinkedIn post. And also, make the call to action for people to do something as simple as possible. So don't say, oh, check out my LinkedIn profile if you'd like to know more about me. No. Okay. if you think about us and society, we want to do things as easy as possible. That's why Uber exists. That's why Deliveroo exists. You know, we could go walking down the street to try and find a taxi and have cash on us. But really, the easiest thing that we want to do is open our phone, click an app, and be able to go for things. So making it as simple as possible. So if you wanted people to get in touch with you, if you'd like to know more, click on this link. Okay, so you've given them that action, which will go to a contact form. And then they've got that easy steps rather than them going through a whole, I've got to go searching, I've got to go find things. People are lazy. I'm super lazy. Okay. Stick with that. Understand that. When you are testing things, like we were saying previously, find out what your brand is. Okay. So what is your brand? You know, is it that it is your name? Is it that you are something? You know, so when you think about like YouTube, you've got like Mr. Beast, you've got MKBHD, but then you've also got, when you look online, you know, you've got John Hinchliffe, those kinds of things. Is it going to be your name? Is it going to be a brand? Okay, so are you a name? Are you a brand? That's the thing to think about. When you were thinking about how do you know when you know enough? Do you know the thing about, can you describe something to a child and to a professor? That's your level. When you go through things, can I explain this in simple enough terms to a child? Could I actually talk through this as a master's thesis? Okay. Also, think about how much do I need to know? Okay. So do I need to know everything about the subject, or do I just need to know enough? Okay, that I could have a conversation about it, but I could say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find it. So it's finding that balance. So, yeah, but yeah, hopefully that helps.
Sorry, John. I think we have another question from Chris. So,
hello, everyone.
Howdy.
I have a bit of a complicated question because the struggle that I'm having in my organization is, well, I just started out this job. I've been super excited about everything until the point that I've discovered in certain conversations that people's mentalities is turn everything into e-learning so that people can learn outside working hours. And that is also combined with the fact that now suddenly it feels like I have to build this big case as to why learning is important and brings value to the organization. So I was wondering if you could give me advice on this struggle.
Okay, so if we break that down a little bit. So are you saying there's a lot of e-learning out there at the moment?
No. There is absolutely nothing. Like, I feel like the moment that I joined the organization, the mentality of my colleagues became, oh, you are here to turn everything into an e-learning so that we no longer have to do trainings. And so that, like, especially managers, when I talk to people in management roles, they say, oh, okay, so that means that from now on, people are going to be able to learn about things for the job outside working hours, and then we can increase productivity. Everyone will be able to work because we don't have, for example, to allot 1 hour for a training session.
Okay. So your first things is understanding what are the problems that learning is there to solve. That's so previously I talk about this LinkedIn thing. If you go on my LinkedIn and you go back to previous posts, I did a post where it talks about kind of the crucial questions that you should ask. And it's that kind of what, where, when, where, how, WWWH. Mm-hmm. Really looking at why do you need to do learning? Who is it for? What is needing to be accomplished? Because when you understand that and you're talking to the stakeholders, then you're going to be able to actually show where value is. So where your value is. So you have a problem that you need learning for. Well, if I create learning and you get a solution, then that's going to be really great data that you're going to show your value. But it's really, you need to understand, you need to do like really thorough training analysis of what needs to be accomplished. because that's going to really help you. I think also needing to understand from the organization how much time for people to learn is actually allocated to them, is available to them. Because asking for people to do training outside of their hours, unless they're getting paid for it, is not going to work.
Yes,
You know,
very much agree with that.
Yeah, it's asking them, you know, what's the incentive? What's the real incentive for these people? If it's going to help them, you know, level up in their career and make the next, you know, rung on the ladder and, you know, get paid X amount more, cool, that's a great incentive, because now we're into the realms of, you know, kind of Malone's theory of, you know, intrinsic motivation. You know, what's our motivators to do things? You know, that's us as human beings. You know, we always need a reason why we're doing things. We need to know that it's going to pay off. So I would say really your toughest thing at the moment is you need to understand from stakeholders, from managers, what are the problems that they're trying to solve, what learning would look like in order to solve that, and then looking at what your potential solutions are that you can provide. So is that, what industry are you in?
It's a software development company.
It's a software development company. Okay. So potentially you're in the realms of utilizing digital adoption platforms. Okay. Just quick, can you do show of hands or just kind of in the chat? Does everybody know what a digital adoption platform is? No? Perfect. Let's rock and roll through it. So digital adoption platforms. So when we think about how we would do software training, okay, when you think about traditionally from an instructional design's point of view, if I'm going to do software training, I'm going to take a screen record, okay? So it's going to be over on that screen. I'm going to do a screen record. I'm going to do some boxes, okay? That's going to highlight the area. Maybe I'm going to make it interactive where you're going to click on that box, okay? And that's going to be your training. Okay, that kind of works. But what a digital adoption platform does is it actually puts an overlay onto the live system, okay? And actually guides you through creating on the live system. So, you know, when you buy like a new piece of software or you go on a subscription website for the first time and it kind of goes a bit dark, and then all of a sudden there's like a box that points through to, you know, sign up here and fill in your details here. And it's actually doing live on the site. That's a digital adoption platform, but you can put it on any piece of software you like. That comes in really handy for like pieces of software because it means that you're taking away human error, because the fact is we're really fallible. We make mistakes, okay? Also, for new starters, you can have task lists. So you can have like, for this process, you need to have completed X, Y, Z. Have you done that? Yes, yes, no, haven't yet. Fill that in, confirm. And it's just getting people to fill in from there. So potentially it's digital adoption platforms. Main ones, so you're looking at WalkMe and WhatFix are kind of like the two main ones of those. But yeah, if we go back to it, above everything, you need to understand what's the questions you need to answer. You know, that's really it.
Thank you very much.
You are super welcome.
Thank you so much, John. And we have another question from Trey. So
yeah, absolutely. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Great. John, again, thank you so much, for dedicating your time, and everyone for being here. My question is, and I'm joining in from Vancouver, British Columbia, here in Canada, and where, this field of instructional design has been budding. In the last 4 or 5 years, it's just sort of elaborated itself and how. And my question based on that is, how does one navigate into all these different nuances within this field? So we've got instructional design jobs, we've got learning design, we've got learning and development, we have UX, user experience. And does one actually look at these titles, or should the job description be, more important? Because sometimes the the job description and how it's written, it kind of overlaps into so many different areas. You know, how every company is looking for that golden goose, so as to call, like someone who can do video editing and someone who can do instructional design and, you know, has knowledge on many different tools. And my second part to this question is that often because of this, you run into this chicken and the egg problem, is that you don't have the experience. That's why you can't get the role, and you can get, and because you don't have the role, you can't build the experience. So how does one navigate this? Thank you.
Good questions. So let's be super honest. The vast majority of people who write job descriptions don't have an idea. They just don't know. Okay. I look at job descriptions and some people are still asking for people who've got experience with Flash. Flash is dead. Okay. The fact is, a lot of organizations, I love it how many people are actually laughing on that. Like, you can tell it's an L&D crowd when people are laughing about Flash. So what's happening is a lot of organizations don't know L&D. It's a new field for them. And so they want a unicorn. Okay. They want somebody who can do, you know, these are the problems that we've got. Yes. It's Marvel. Yeah. These are the problems we've got. Well, it'd be great if somebody could do this, this, this. Does that exist? I don't know. I don't know. L&D must exist, but it doesn't. It's about what can you do and how can you provide value through the skills that you actually offer. So when we think about, you know, how do you get the experience? In all truth and honesty, you have to try and do as many free things as possible. So it's, how can I get a trial of Talent LMS for 7 days in order to get a bit more experience on an LMS? Here's one that's really good. Check out Thinkific. So Thinkific's a really good basic learning management system, but you can play with it and start to create on it for free. Like for as long as you want, up to, I think, 3 courses. So it just means that you can start getting that experience, but then you can also start to show people, well, this is what I created in Thinkific for X course. Apologies, I can't remember who asked, how do you get experience, you know, before you get experience? Offer to do things for free, okay? Because it's a really weird thing of karma. So if you are on Instagram or you're on TikTok and you follow people and they're really providing you value, reach out to them. Once again, that's the cool thing about life now. You can reach out to people you previously wouldn't have and just go, look, I really love what you produce. Have you ever thought about making a course? This is something that I specialize in, but I'd love to make one for free as part of my portfolio. If this sounds of interest to you, hit me back. You're going to provide them value. You're going to get experience, and you never know that whether that person, you create something really cool with them and then they go, actually, can you like do this as a retainer? So they pay you $1,000, $2,000 per month to do their stuff, to keep it up to date. And then they tell a person and go, look, they hooked me up with a learning system and now I've got this revenue coming in. And then potentially that becomes a line of work for you. So it's trying out as many things as you can for free or low cost, and then being able to, how do you display that? So when you look at things like authoring tools, there's a few that are kind of gaining momentum that are starting to become lower cost. So there's one that is coming onto the market called Quantic, Kwantic. It's based, if you've ever used Evolve, which was actually based on Adapt. So Adapt was then created into the Evolve. It's a really good responsive piece of authoring tool. So responsive looks good on mobile phone, looks good on desktop. So that's something that you really also have to think about, especially when you're thinking about your learners. Where are they accessing? Because if you create a course in Storyline, for example, great on a desktop, how frustrating on a mobile phone, because you're pinching to try and see the lecturing. Okay, great thing with the responsive though, with Evolve, with Rise, it adjusts to whatever device you're utilizing. So one called Quantic, that's coming into the market and that's going to be really cheap. There is talk of potentially that being free for a while, which is the best price of all. So it's very similar to Evolve. There's some really cool plugins with that. Keep an eye out for that. It really is just tasting, but also, like we previously said, it's figuring out what you're interested in. What do you want to focus on? You know, the fact is, instructional design, singularly, as being an instructional designer, you're going to need to be more in the future. Okay. It's figuring out what's going to be your unique selling point. So I've got an instructional design base. Okay. But I'm really great at marketing. Cool. That's a nice offering. Or I'm a really good instructional designer and I know data. Okay. That's another one. I'm really good at data analysis. Okay. How do I get better at data analysis? I can take courses on Udemy. I can watch YouTube videos. I can actually show examples of analyzing data, because that's the beautiful thing. Hi, Google or ChatGPT. Write me a data set about X for me to be able to analyze, produce there. So actually being able to have those, but then create a portfolio talking about what you've done. Because that's another thing, is get really comfortable with speaking on camera. Okay. It can be horrifically anxiety riddled. Trust me, I've been there. But it's the more you become comfortable of speaking to camera. And if you get really anxious in cameras, here's a little trick. Look directly down the lens. Don't look around, look directly down the lens, right down it. It helps with the anxiety because it kind of blocks you away from everything. It's you talking through what you've actually created. Because once again, people like people. You know, if you are on camera and you're saying, look, this is something that I did for X person. I reached out to them on LinkedIn, or I reached out to them on Instagram because I really like upcycling cupboards. This person upcycles cupboards and I really like them. So I reached out to them and said, look, would you like a course building about this? Here's the process that we went through. Our first meeting was, who's their target market? Who do they want to inform? What could a course look like? Then I built it using X. This is my process. This was my storyboard. Here's what I produced. So they've then got that visual of what you produced. Here's the platform that we use. We use Thinkific. Here was the marketing campaign that we did. And then the great thing is the pièce de résistance. Here's the data from this. We got 2,000 new learners. 55% are partway through, and this has generated X amount of money for this person. People love a case study, and it's being able to tell that story and being proactive, because it is one thing. And I get this because I talk to a lot of individuals. A lot of people say, well, I can't get this job because I can't get experience on that. We're in the best time ever to get experience on like similar things. So it's just how you do that. So yeah, hopefully that helped.
It did quite a bit. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Well, who's next on the questions?
Does anyone want to ask anything?
If no one else has a question, I do have another one.
Go for it.
Yeah, okay. First of all, thanks, Shrey, because I had two questions in mind and I wanted to ask only one, but you asked the other one. So thank you very much for that. My question is, how can you evaluate a soft skill training session? Like, this is simply put, that's the question, because when I go and deliver a training session on imagine facilitation or conflict management, on the bright side, people are very nice at the end, and they come and give me feedback. On the negative side, they are very nice, and they say everything is super good and lovely, thank you for everything. But I don't know the impact unless I wait for, imagine, 6 months and see if anyone jumped at each other's throat at one point, and then my conflict management training session didn't work. But what could be an effective way to see if I'm actually doing a good job from a perspective of someone that works with it? Because it's very difficult to judge yourself, although I really try. But when you only have other people that are trying to learn from you, it's very difficult to get on-point feedback and adjust your the way with them when it comes to soft skills. And so, yeah, how would you suggest maybe to move in that direction? How to learn how to be better at teaching soft skills?
Okie dokie. So a couple of things. First one, immediate feedback is terrible. Okay. And also feedback of you is terrible. Okay. Here's what I mean by this. People have preconceptions. They've got stuff going on with their lives that can skew how feedback actually comes through with you. It's more about focusing on what can you actually analyze in the future. Okay. Now, when I talk about feedback, I'll give you a case in point. So I have a course on Udemy. Okay. It's a course in instructional design. It has 4,000 students. Okay. If I were to focus just on the feedback, okay, it would drive me crazy because it ranges from 5 stars, this is the greatest thing ever, to 1 star, whereby somebody wrote, there's not enough diversity in this course. The reason for that is it's me talking on camera for 5 hours, okay, in little blocks. What am I supposed to do with that? You know, I could really go internal and, you know, really worry, but it's also looking at, you know, the widespread. What does this person really need from this? Did I help them actually gain the knowledge that they needed? So what I would be looking at is what previously actually triggered the requirement for the learning. Okay, so if we think about conflict resolution, what triggered that in the business? What was the thing that made somebody think, my word, like this is something that we need to do? And then understanding from the business side, how can this be monitored? You know, what are the triggers that lets us know that this has actually been successful? Because that's another thing to think about is if you can't measure the success of learning, what's the point of doing the learning? You know, so it's really thinking about, okay, so if we're doing conflict resolution, who are the main people that's going to be, you know, talking within this? And also it's thinking about the knock-on effects of what else is involved with this. So we're picking conflict resolution just because you said it and I'm super curious on it. Conflict resolution, what's creating the conflict? Is it actually that it's people or is it actually processes? So it's within the training, it's trying to dissect that as well. It's trying to look at the bigger picture because learning is part of a jigsaw. You know, it's all these different things. So is it the fact of, I don't know, let's go with this. It's a parcel delivery company. Okay, parcel delivery company. People are really verbally abusive to each other. Okay, why? Well, it actually turns out root cause analysis that the systems that are in place mean that people aren't getting the right information. And therefore, it means that things aren't being done properly. Blame is being placed where it shouldn't be placed. And people are just becoming frustrated. Okay, well, it's not actually training then that needs doing. It's actually the process needs changing. So it's look bigger than training. Those are kind of the things that I really, really think about. Because honestly, the amount of courses that I've done, and it wasn't actually the training that was needed. It's actually the processes and it's the organization that needs training. Also, if anybody says to you, please, can we do a course on having a non-toxic work culture? Quit that organization. Because no amount of training is going to help a toxic organization. It's toxic at its root, and that's why it needs changing. So, yeah, those are my thoughts, and hopefully that helps.
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you very much. And if I wasn't looking at the screen sometimes, I was taking notes the old way. So that's why I was looking down sometimes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, I guess we need to end this session.
Wow, time flies.
Yeah.
Flies.
Well, I might also have a question also related to what Giuseppe asked, if there's still some time for a question.
You've got 2 minutes. Go quick.
Yeah.
Evaluation is also a topic that interests me because, like, one thing that is super challenging is, like, how do you measure return on investment?
Cool. Right. So let's give you the quick answer on that. Go check out something called the V model. So V model from the ROI Institute Canada. So if you know Kirkpatrick and action mapping by Kathy Moore, so action mapping by Kathy Moore really looks at the why of why you're doing your learning. Kirkpatrick is really looking at the kind of end result, the feedback of that. It's like those two had a baby, okay? And they created this thing called the V model. And it really helps you understand in that beginning kind of creation of your learning, why you're doing this and how you'd be able to measure actual ROI. And then you can then link that through to your end results to really measure. So did the beginning what you anticipated, what you wanted to do, did it align to what came out?
Thank you very much. I'll definitely look into it.
Talk about a quick Q&A, that one.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone for joining today. And the one last thing is, how would you describe today's session with one word?
I personally think it was fantastic, and thank you so much. This is my first session, and I'm recent to the L&D Shakers group. It was absolutely amazing, John. Thank you so much for your incredible insight in so many different aspects and areas.
Hey,
Thanks
my
so
pleasure.
much. So thank you so much, everyone.
Perfect. Happy days.
Bye all. Take care of yourself.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks a bunch, all.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.